This is the packet. Just go to the bottom. Right.
No. To the menu.
Oh, goodness.
Didn't get into much last game, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, thanks.
That should be.
Oh, that's gonna join us online. We don't want him to walk in a minute late and get put in the meetings that way, right, Trent? What's that?
Both ones, huh? Glad was she on? Did she hear us? What's her name? Andrea? Andrea, can you hear me?
We can't hear her.
We can't hear you,
All right. Sometimes my husband wishes he could mute me, but he can't.
but.
So.
My wife says the same thing. So we're gonna start here in a couple minutes, so we'll do some introductions, and then right after that, you'll be up, all right?
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I got 6 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting of the Highland School Board to order. First item is roll call by the clerk.
Finish. Here. Dreschmeyer.
Here.
Dury.
Here.
Etzer.
Here.
Midget. Schmidt.
Here.
Jaeger.
Here.
Todd, if you're online, do you want to be part of it, or are you just watching in?
Would he be trying to get in, Mr. Tucker? Todd?
You can get it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, if you guys could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is posting of the meeting given to the public pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1984.
Second.
A motion by Drury and a second by Benish. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is approval of the minutes from August 11th and 18th, the regular and special meetings.
I make a motion to approve August 11th and 18th meetings as presented.
Second.
A motion by Esser and a second by Jaeger to approve the August 11th and 18th meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is approval of the current expenses and vouchers payable. Josh, do you have anything on this list that we should take a look at, or?
I don't, but if you have questions on anything, Barbie might be able to help, and Linda Lou's
Linda's
listening in
on.
too. I don't know if you noticed, but the bell system was changed this year, so that's the largest bill that's on there for this month, as you can see there. Number 102665.
Mr. Terrell, that invoice was actually approved back in the spring. Remember, that's one of the projects that was approved for payment in the previous fiscal year. However, it didn't get scheduled or completed, and so that's why it is on the voucher list for this fiscal year.
Thank you, Linda.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers.
A motion by Schimick and a second by Drury to approve the current expenses and vouchers payable. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is public appearances before the board, not for action. Anybody that has anything tonight for us for that? All right. On to announcements and reports. First item, Josh, you want to do new staff introductions?
Sure can. Welcome, everyone. Mark, can I get you to come on up? I'll start with you so you can get rocking. So I'll introduce the board to you all right away. So to my left, Ashley Tussle, Andrea next to her, Benish, Mike Dreschmeyer, board president, Kenny Esser, Katrina Schimick, and Brent Drury. Todd Mitchick's not able to be here tonight. So this is Mark Peer. He's our custodian, night shift. Starts at about 5:30. Finishes shift at the end of the night there. So Mark, anything you want to say about yourself?
Oh, just, thanks for the opportunity, and it's real pleasant working with everybody, and that's about it, I guess.
All right.
Nice
Thanks,
to meet
Mark.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thank
Okay, Mark.
Whitney Schneider.
Right. I think I know most of the board members here. A little bit about myself. maybe?
Sure.
All right. I haven't met many of these teachers yet either, but as most of these guys know, I live right next to the school here. I have two kiddos in elementary, one coming up next year. For the last 10 years, I've worked in Spring Green at MIA Incorporated. It's a dairy sanitation chemical distributing company. And I've done everything there to make a small business happen. Accounts payable, accounts receivable, invoicing, let's see, literally everything, customer service. So I'm excited to bring those, all my skills and tools to the table. Look forward to coming here. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Whitney.
Thank you.
Maggie. Maggie Sanchez is a paraprofessional, new for us this year.
I'm Maggie. I've been in Highland 17 years now. We have two boys. Dakota's 15. Blake is 12. Both active in sports. I would spend most of their time doing.
All right. Thanks, Maggie.
Yep.
Siobhan Rollins, another paraprofessional, new for us.
Yep. I'm Siobhan Rollins. I moved here in the summer from Arkansas. So your little community is very, very tight community and very nice. I like working here. You guys are great. You guys all work together and you're pretty good here.
Thank you, John. Jackie Johnson, Spanish teacher.
Hello, so I'm Jackie. This is my 18th year in teaching Spanish education, just in Spanish in general. Let's see, we brought UW Green Bay program to Highland. So that's something new this year that is already working. So students are already registered as of today. We had the representative come today, so that was really, really nice to see. So they can get 14 college credits for that if they pass with an A or B. So, and then with a C, they can get 8.5, and then so it's really nice. But so let's see what else. I have 2 kids. One's a 9th grader here, and one's an 8th grader. One's in football, one's in volleyball. They're really liking it. They've already gotten some friends. So we've been here a month. We came from Florida, but originally from Wisconsin. So my husband's also here, but he's Wisconsin State Patrol started. So it's been you guys have been very welcoming. We're really enjoying being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for joining us, Jeremiah. Krista Dilly in our elementary first grade.
Hi, I'm Krista Dilly. I also go by CJ. I'm from Monticello, graduated from UW Oshkosh, and this is my 5th year of teaching. I taught in Madison and in Oshkosh, both kindergarten and first grade, and I'm really loving it here. The small community is really great, and it's nice to see how supportive everyone is. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Becky Pink would be Terry Pink's younger sister. Becky?
Most of you know me, I know most of you. I went to school here, went to Platteville, got my degree in music ed, and now I'm pretty excited to be back here teaching in the same classroom I had choir in. So that's pretty cool. So thank you.
Thanks, Becky. Rain Close from Belmont originally, 5th grade teacher. Well,
Yeah.
Belmont, I guess.
Yeah. So Rain Foes, like you said, from Belmont. So I was very familiar with Highland before going for a job here, traveling for sports. Just like Belmont, small community. So that's what I've always wanted to teach at. So very appreciative of the opportunity, and it's been great so far. So I look forward to the rest of the year.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. I know it's a little out of your normal schedule, and just appreciate putting faces with the names and getting to meet everybody, and a few more new staff than normal this year, and
there is
a lot of people heading north back to Wisconsin or up to Wisconsin, so that's good to see, and a lot of locals here too. So thanks everybody for coming, and appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. You guys want to take off? Appreciate it. Have a great night.
You too, thank you.
We have a special guest for up next, Josh.
Yep.
Do you want to introduce the subject and let us know, or is she going to do all that?
Yeah, I can introduce it. Obviously, I have Bradley here too to help me out. So this is Andrea. She is a part of a social media service presentation she'd like to do. It's a program or a company we'd like to look at trying for this year, and as far as getting our social media and keep everything up to date with all that stuff. So, Andrea, can you hear us?
I can. You guys can hear
All
me
right.
okay?
Betcha. Let her rip.
All right. So I've got some slides here. I want to really introduce kind of my company, talk a little bit about what you're doing right now at Highland, which I've gotten to talk to Brad and Bryce a little bit. So I kind of am aware of your app and some of those things. But I'm just going to explain our social media partnership that we do with almost 100 schools across the country. But first of all, I am from a really small town in Wisconsin called New Auburn. We have about 300 students K through 12. So I think it's a little bit bigger than Highland, but that's where I graduated from. And it's where I got my start. Back in 2014, I actually got laid off from my position, and I was a single mom with 2 little girls, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And I started doing social media for businesses, and the superintendent at my school in New Auburn, who I happened to go to church with, said, hey, we need help with social media. Why don't you help us out? So it was kind of just a trial program. I loved it because as a mom of kids, they don't tell me what's going on at school. And I know social media is a spot where, we can really highlight things. And so we were able to start that program, have a lot of great results. And then I found out other schools needed help. So now this is all I do. I focus just on serving schools. And my company now serves over 350 school districts with a variety of services. I'm a blogger and podcaster, and now I got married and have a blended family with 6 kids. So it's a little bit of, chaos, but it's all good. This is my favorite quote when it comes to schools. It's never been more tested than the last 18 months, but I really believe that we can work to make the positive so loud that the negative becomes almost impossible to hear. I can't shut down the naysayers, but we can really elevate all of the great things happening, and we've been able to do that with so many schools, almost 70 schools we partner with just in the state of Wisconsin. And our mission is super simple. We celebrate students and we connect communities. We really give your community a front row seat to all the amazing things happening. We also celebrate staff. So one of the big things we do at the beginning of each school year is really, introduce all your staff members there, from your custodial crew to your paraprofessionals to your new Spanish teacher, right? Really introducing them to the community. And it's been really powerful. I've got a lot of free support out there. So if we talk tonight and you guys decide you don't want to partner, that's okay. Just check out my website, socialschoolforedu.com. I've got a lot of over 400 articles and podcast episodes and video tips and all of that. And then of course we've got some services. So we have a boot camp training program. We've got a membership program that we can train. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our full management service. So that's where we're doing the daily upkeep of social media. And of course, we do that for almost 100 schools across the country. Like I said, about 67 right here in Wisconsin. But I couldn't do that by myself. So I have an awesome team, a lot of stay-at-home moms, former educators, former teachers that help run this company. And we absolutely love what we get to do. So I got a chance to talk a little bit with, like I said, Brad and Bryce, as far as social media. And it looks like a lot of what is being shared out on social media is some of what's going on to your app. So it's a lot of informational posts and maybe some little athletic updates. And maybe you have a team of people doing that. Is that right?
Yeah, for the most part, we had a couple previously that did that.
Okay. And yeah, you had your former maybe business teacher helped even a little bit more with that.
Right.
And if we can help you out, that's great, because a lot of times it's, hey, we're wearing so many hats that it's really hard to make time, or it's hard to get the content. And so we really want to be able to take that off your shoulders and be able to celebrate in big ways. This is just a comparison, and this is really hard to see. Probably this TV is probably not that big in your conference room, but it's a way of comparing your school to other schools around you and some of the districts we serve. So we work with Boscobel, we work with Riverdale, we work with Evansville. Mineral Point on this list has a full-time communications person that is awesome. Joelle, I love the work she does. Darlington has somebody on their team that takes some of our training, and they do a great job. But what you can see is not a lot of social media posts in the last 7 days. You only had one on Facebook. It didn't have a lot of engagement. So what we're trying to do is cultivate stories from your staff and get those out at the right time with the right, wording and engagement to get people to interact so that people see the great things happening at Highland. Any questions so far? There's no test at the end either, so you don't have to worry about that. When it comes to Highland Community Schools, there's a lot of goals around social media, and I'm not sure if you on the board have some goals in mind. These are some of the top 6 reasons why schools want to use social media. Do any of those kind of rise to the top as far as what you guys would be interested in with a great social media presence?
Yeah, I would definitely say so.
Yeah, any one of them that kind of, or maybe all of them, I don't know.
I see at least 3 on that list.
Okay, so I'm guessing maybe community engagement,
Yep,
or what, and then what were the other 2 that you were thinking?
definitely communication.
Okay, getting the story out. Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll just share a little bit of what happened in New Auburn when we got started, and then I'll quickly explain what the program looks like, and then I want to get all your questions answered. So New Auburn started out with no followers back in 2014. We have over 2,100 fans now, and our community is seeing over 3 posts a day from our classrooms. I just scheduled out our Spanish kids. We have a new Spanish teacher too. They were singing to the older kids, the algebra kids, and went in and performed a song. We've got kindergarten kids that are doing artists, painting pictures. We've got sports updates, all of these things. And so the community is really getting to see what's happening. And on Facebook alone, we don't advertise, we don't pay any money, but we're reaching over 5,000 people a week just on Facebook. And that's because of that consistency, that storytelling, and those positive, stories from the classroom that are getting out there. We use social media, and I believe in using it because we want to celebrate kids. We want to shine a light on your amazing staff. We try to keep the community and alumni informed of what's happening at Highland. Crisis management. Social media may or may not play a role in a crisis. It really helps you own the story, and it helps show our kids that, hey, guess what? Social media can be really positive. We can use it in a positive way. So we exist because schools are, all the other schools are a lot like yours, where you guys are busy dealing with all of the things. And of course, over the last year and a half with COVID and testing standards and, staffing levels and all of that, our team's really just focused on telling your story and monitoring, the comments that come in and things like that. So if we were to partner with your school for like a year or more, we assign an account manager for your school. So one of the people on our team would really get to know your district, okay? They act as an extended staff member. And of course, we need somebody to reach out to if something happens, right, a problem. But we're the ones that are responsible for posting on your pages, and then we monitor the comments, and that includes evening, weekend, summer vacation. So you are really covered. If you are worried about some specific issue, I bet we've dealt with it probably a couple different times with all the schools we've served over the past, 7, almost 8 years. We try to average at least 2 posts a day on Facebook. We're also putting things out on Twitter and Instagram. And the way we get our content in, because I'm not at Highland, is we ask your faculty and staff, send in 2 things a month. Just snap the picture, send us a little description, and we take it from there. So we're trying to get things from elementary, middle school, high school, community partnerships, field trips, sports teams. That comes to us. We email back the teacher or whoever sent it to us. Thank you so much. This will post soon. Or maybe if we have a question about it, we'll ask a question. But then we take it from there and make the posts, upload the video, monitor the conversations. So does everything make sense so far?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. It's all about celebration. So, you guys do a good job through your app of informing. Social media is really about the celebrations. And so a post like this where we're celebrating in Parkview reached over 2,400 people. Posts like this that's just informational, it only reached 451 people because there's not a lot of engagement, not a lot of interaction. So we really take a strategic approach to how we use social media. We want to meet the 2 billion plus users of Facebook where they're at and show up in their news feed. We, monitor the conversation daily. We check that email throughout the school day. That's really when we're monitoring that email address. We post content in a timely manner, and we never ever take away the power of your team from posting. If there's an emergency, you know, they could obviously post. Graphic designs all included. So I have a professional graphic designer, Allison, and she's awesome. We change out the cover images every quarter to match kind of with the season. We do a lot of cross promotion of other social media channels. And then I have a lot of testimonials out there. Bryce might be the best one because he's worked with us in a couple different districts. But like I said, we work with a lot of schools across the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota and beyond. So, you know, we've had school members say, oh my gosh, I feel like I know what's going on at school, even though I thought I knew what was happening before. So, you know, it's up to you if you need to bring us on, but we've got an experienced team. One priority, which is telling your story, evening, weekend coverage, crisis management, peace of mind, quick implementation. The only reason I have a star on that is because if you decided tonight that you wanted to get started, like we could probably launch by the end of October, just because we're launching some other schools, and I'm a small but mighty company. We're not real big. We have a great leadership team, but we kind of focus school by school as we launch. We do Instagram. I'm not sure if you guys have Instagram today, but that's a great place to celebrate kids and get them connected with what's happening. We got quotes with your kids on them, really eye-catching graphics. We can do student features that feature, you know, different students. We do Throwback Thursdays every Thursday morning, those old yearbook photos, which is really fun. We do staff features and staff shout outs, and community, you know, posts as well. We know that in a small community that the school really is kind of the heart of everything. And our pricing is all based on enrollment. So you guys fall in that under 500. So if you guys were to partner with us for full management for 1 year, it's $8,000. And if you wanted to do a 3-year contract, you would still pay year to year, but you would save $1,000 just because of the longer term commitment. And so that's kind of the pricing. And I can never promise that you're going to retain or attract any students. But if you're reaching thousands of people with the amazing things happening at Highland, like your new Spanish program, right, that you've got a chance to earn some college credit, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, small school, but that's a big opportunity. You know, that investment could almost pay for you know, one of those students. So real quickly, to get started, we do a contract, we do a planning meeting. We explain the process with the staff via video, and then ongoing, we're part of your team. And we provide, you know, every day we're at the other end of that email. And then quarterly, we provide report cards. Of course, we would do report cards for schools. And so you kind of get to see, how are we growing? What have been some of the big posts? And we also compare you to other schools so you can kind of see how you stack up with other schools maybe that are similar to your size, just so that we can continually do our best to celebrate things. So that's kind of my explanation, but I went through that super fast. So I would just encourage, if you guys have some questions for me. I know Bryce just popped on, and so maybe Bryce has some words, but I'd love to be able to get anything answered that you'd like.
Yeah, this is Bryce. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So, yeah, sorry I couldn't be there in person, but the reason I'm looking at Andrea's company for Highland is I've had good success with it with other schools where I've been, but basically they have a system and they'll get a lot more, generally they get a lot more things posted. Like Andrea says, it's all about celebrating the good, and we're trying to drown out the negative. And we usually in education, we're not good at promoting. So it's a system that they have. It's worked very well. Also, I would look at it as professional development. In a year from now, we could decide we want to continue with this. Do we think it's worth the investment and we've got good results from it? Or do we think we want to bring it back in-house? This year, we don't have anybody designated because the business education teacher Ashley did this last year, and so that was $5,000 stipend that was in the budget. So it's only going to be $3,000 additional dollars. We can do that for a year, and then we decide if we go back to that and put it back to a staff member, or do we like how the system goes, and we can decide to go forward from there.
So I have a question. So like everything that comes through the app now that we get as updates will come through still, and then they're just gonna continue to broadcast even more and better positive things as well?
Yes.
So like the announcements, that the school's like doing this, or here's this, the social media will be,
Or like
take
teacher
that part of it,
days
we take
tomorrow and
Yeah.
reminders. those
Yeah,
kinds things.
instead of it coming through a picture or through the parental portal emails, it'll literally be broadcasted on our social media page,
For both.
or all the above.
No, so, sorry, I was just gonna answer that one question and I'll let you. So like the picture day thing that's like parent informational, so
Okay.
that would just still be coming through like the Infinite Campus email.
Okay.
So like
So communication will still mostly just come through there.
that's
It won't be
just
on
like
social
parent,
media.
like the community doesn't really need to know about. So
Right, but some of it though should be shared beyond the community, that's the thing. That's where I see the disconnect. Sorry.
but like even like the picture today.
Yeah.
Or like there's gonna be a
Seriously.
field trip coming up. or
Yeah, I know, it's so
graduation
weird,
or
but
whatever.
yeah. Like I'm just getting from other parents and things that they're just not getting enough of the information, it's just not out there. I don't know, so I'm just.
Well, I do have to say,
advocate for that.
aside from the communication, I'm a Riverdale alumni, so I have their page, and I didn't realize that they had somebody like this doing it, and I had thought for the longest time, wow, what a great job they do, all these
Right.
cool things that they put on there, so it is nice.
So I think it'd be definitely beneficial.
So I didn't know that people wanted to know those. I'm not a social media person, so.
What? Well, you don't know.
Who does,
That's
who do the website, like who does or you, right? You send out the updates through Infinite Campus?
I send out Infinite Campus on the way website, so
Okay.
that's Brad.
But all those things that we use plug in there and send out, all the
Infinite Campus stuff. Yeah, but I don't send I send parents, like field trips, I wouldn't send that to a community.
The teachers, right.
Okay.
But I can see like after they happen, promoting it through.
Right,
Yeah.
definitely, after they went on a field trip or whatever, yeah, or here's some pictures that were taken, whatever, yeah. No, I like the idea, yeah, definitely. I was just wondering how much more the communication between this and the school was gonna be beneficial, because that's where I wanna see the big increase in communication. Just asking.
I think a lot of the stuff we did when we had the charter school going, we did a lot of promotion of what we were doing and got a lot of that information out there, and I think that was really valuable at that time, but it's just slowly tapered off, and the hard part is in a small school, everybody's got full plates and it's just an add-on to somebody else, and we tried that, and like I said, with somebody new, if somebody's dedicated to it, I think that's a good thing. I just happened to see Boscovels as well, looking for the football game on Friday night, and saw that they had introductions to the new staff, and I think that's good. I mean, it's great for us to see the new staff in person, and it's good to get that out there to the community as well. It is in the newsletter, which is great, but.
But the newsletter doesn't go to every community member as well. Or even every school personnel or child who is in our school.
Well, and like past communities, like, I'm not a Riverdale community member, you aren't either, you see that,
Right.
everybody uses it.
So I just wanna make sure that that's part of this, I guess, because if it is, that's great.
We get them, we have Chronicle, but we don't have any coverage from newspapers anymore for sports. I've been said stuff to him multiple times over the last few years that I'd like to see, even just a daily update, what happened the night before during basketball season, because there's so much stuff going on, you don't need to have a little blurb, just who won, who they played, just every morning.
So in order for that to be on this, correct me if I'm wrong, like, you would just need to send her something after your basketball game. and she would put it on, or not her,
Right.
but her team would then.
Which
put it
is
on.
where then though that could get dropped off, like not consent. Do you know what I mean? Like, cause then
Well,
they're
then
expecting.
That'd be on each.
Right. So for example, Andrew, let's say there's a basketball game Friday night. When would that get posted?
If there was a celebration picture and you wanted that posted immediately on a Friday night or on the weekend, usually there's somebody that on your team that can get that up. But normally we're monitoring the email inbox like during school hours. So that's kind of when we can promise that it's going to be up. I don't pay my people to be 24/7, but if if there was a big game and we knew that, hey, you had a chance to go to state and you wanted to make sure that got up there, we could work together, or there'd be somebody on your team that would be able to post that if they wanted. I get a little worried when we talk about like every single day having the same type of update, because sometimes it can get tone deaf a little bit, especially if we don't have like current pictures to go along with it. We really want to be able to celebrate those things and getting those out there. If it just looks the same, you're going to not get as good of reach, because it's just, so there's a balance there, but the big thing is if there's things to celebrate, we just got to make sure, yes, get those into the email. We're going to write them in a way that tries to encourage engagement, that tries to reach as many people. But, in some cases, if there's some informational stuff, we can share that as well, and get that out there. We just want to make sure that we're sprinkling in a lot of stuff from the classrooms, in addition to the sports, and then any kind of informational type things you want out.
So, let's say, for example, it's still us, then if there's it's noon and we got a game cancellation that night, that would be the member of our team, right? That takes care of that?
Right. Yep. That would be anything kind of emergency related that you think needs to go on there.
Okay. How about go ahead. How about like beginning of the year stuff like school calendar, schedules for different activities, all those things?
Then you would go through us.
Okay.
Yep. If you need to, and we'll get a balancing act. I mean, every school is a little bit different with how much they want to share. I just really encourage people, a lot of just those informational posts. That's where if you've got a high adoption rate to your app and you're pushing things out directly to the parents that it involves, that's the best way to make sure that they get it. But I hear a little bit about the communication and making sure stuff's getting out there. Sometimes you can have it on the website, on the app, in the newsletter, on social media, and somebody still wants a personal phone call for each thing. So it's hard. It's a noisy world. It's a noisy world.
It is. So what are your social media outlets that you use? You said Instagram and obviously our Facebook page, but there's nothing that you do that goes on our webpage, correct?
Right. Yep. Unless you decide to pull something in off like a news feed off of Facebook onto your website. But no, we don't post. We have several districts, Fall River, Hillsborough, I can't remember who else I shared with Brad, that use Aptigee. But that is totally separate than what we do for the social media channels.
Okay. So there'll be training then for staff if we go with this?
Yeah, basically we just have a 15-minute video that I come on and I'm just like, we're really excited to be partnered, and here's the email address, and send in a test email, and here's the kind of pictures and stories that we're looking for. Here's what to be careful of, some of those things. And we try to get all those questions answered and really just describe exactly what we need from them. And then it grows. I mean, we just launched with a school in Minnesota, Cannon Falls, and they're on fire. And one of their people was like, oh my gosh, it's so exciting to see Facebook, light up with all of these positive things. So the community usually instantly, recognizes that, hey, this is something different. But yeah, usually a staff meeting. So we don't want to just send out a video and trust that they'll watch it, because they probably won't. So just showing it in a staff meeting is best, and then you're off and running.
Okay. Is there a check to what gets posted?
That's a great question. So we don't have like a gatekeeper, but we've got a lot of experience. I think we've posted probably 2 to 3 million times for social, on social media pages. We don't bat 1,000 because sometimes, you miss a hand gesture or forget, don't realize that the shirt says something that it shouldn't say. But we are scanning for those types of things to make sure that, we're celebrating your school. And because we have to deal with the comments. So for instance, in the last 18 months, we are really good mask police. If that mask is below the nose, we are not posting it because we know somebody is going to comment on that. So we really take a fine tooth comb on what we receive and then try to word it in a way that's obviously celebrating learning and the district and all of that. I once got cat dissection photos. I said, we're not going to go there. I'm just not going to post those. And there's been other things where we might ask like the principal or the superintendent, do you want to share this resource? Because our staff has the best intentions in mind, but maybe we don't want to start this on our social media page that could erupt into a, national viral negative thing. So that's kind of how we handle that. Does that help answer your question?
That does. Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
Andrea?
Yes.
I have just one question. So could you please clarify, only our high school or our school district staff can send you content? So what I'm wondering about, we have parents that never want their children photographed. So that would be our responsibility to make sure that those kids don't appear on social media.
Yes, that's a great question. So even though you don't have a ton of kids at your school, we're not going to recognize all of them when we get the picture. So we really emphasize making sure that do not photo list is well communicated with your teaching and support staff so they know not to send those photos into us. Now, have we ever had somebody send us a picture, and of course it's a super cute one, and then we get a call and we're like, you got to take that photo down. And we've instantly taken it down, right away, but it was out there for a little bit. So that is on the shoulders of your staff. Hopefully that list is pretty small. It seems to be getting smaller as we go, but yeah, that would be on them not to send in pictures of those students.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions you guys have?
Just Josh or Bryce or Brad, I guess internal controls, you could do as much as you want to. If you wanted somebody to be copied on all those submittals, somebody could take a look at them too if we were worried about it, but that would add a lot to somebody's plate as well, so.
I mean, the thing that I like about this, and I think, Mike, you said it earlier in the meeting, is that this isn't an add-on to somebody else's. I mean, the job to post more content isn't an add-on. So when they get busy, it slows down. These people, this company will specialize in it. We can, as we're watching it, we can question things. We just call our contact and we can get things changed or taken down or rearranged. And the inverse is true. I know that Andrea has talked about this before. Sometimes it could be administrator writing an article or addressing something, and they'll say, this happened in other schools. It's a little too sensitive. You may want to word that differently or not go there. So we get advice that way before they post it. So I think that can go both ways. And this isn't meant to be a criticism of what we're doing. It's a unique way to farm out a specialist that has a niche, and we've had good results just getting all the good things that happen here out there. And then we can see, Andrea will do a report later on that'll show how many people we're reaching, if we're reaching double the amount. And also, like, if we can retain a student or attract an open enrollment student because of all the good things happening here that are out there, it pays for the $8,000 service.
All right, anybody else have any other comments? Otherwise, we could talk about this all night too, but we might as well keep moving along. So Andrea, thanks for your presentation, and we'll address that in just a little bit on our new business.
You bet. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for serving your school district. We really appreciate you with everything that's going on in the world. It's not an easy job. So thanks, and I appreciate your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Josh, let's go on to the principal's report then.
Yeah, so we are halfway through our third week of school, so AI will start next week. Obviously tally all the grades from all the staff members in middle and high school, and then we'll start those study groups after school if we need to for those students that need a little more time getting stuff done or getting caught up on work. Every year we have to report to the board seclusion and restraint report before October 1st. So this is that report that I'll share with you. You have to do it in 3 different forms. In other words, we have technically 3 different schools that report to DBI, elementary, middle, and high school. So we have 0 instances in any of the 3. So we had a good year that way as far as we didn't have to seclude or restrain anyone. So Barb will take note of that so we can send that then to the DBI unless you have some questions. All right. So they had a 6 Rivers meeting today at the ADs and some protocol changes. So at the end of the games where handshaking, we're going to refrain from that in our fall sports. Not that I think it's important that we do that, but in this situation where we could get kids that will be quarantined as a direct contact because of if it's contact, so then they're a direct contact to make contact. So shaking hands for a volleyball game, for example, at the end of the beginning of a game would put us in that situation. So we're going to have a meeting today. So all the schools, not that we're trying to be rude, but we're not going to do that to avoid that problem. And hopefully we won't have any quarantining that way. All righty. Seating meetings. There's some discussion today. So for example, football is going to be different than volleyball. And the reason that is football, if you miss a game, all right, you have to forfeit that. So if you can't play the game on a Friday and you can't play it on a Saturday or a Monday, you need to forfeit. So your team will take the loss, and the team that you forfeit to will have a win in their record. If a team picks up another game, so for example, let's say we're playing whoever we play Ithaca this weekend. If Ithaca calls us today or tomorrow and says, hey, we can't play, we have too many kids out, and they forfeit, we could pick up another game. But that game would not count toward any seeding, so it'd be technically an exhibition game. So we'd want to get the kids, if we did get the boys a game, however, we wouldn't count that toward the seeding at the end of the year. The seeding this year is done electronically. So if you counted that forfeit and then you played another game, technically you could have a better record than someone else that never had the opportunity to play it. So your percentage would be different. So we want to keep it as equal as we can. So those games would count as a exhibition game and not counted in the regular season. Volleyball, however, if you have to forfeit a game, we can usually reschedule it. Most probably 99% of the time we can get that game rescheduled. So it's a lot easier, obviously, to reschedule games in volleyball. I should say easier. I would say it's really easy. However, but if you have students out on your varsity level, you are required, we're asking every team in the conference to still play those games as long as you have enough able bodies to do so. So for example, there's a school in our conference that has 2 players on their varsity that start that route. They still play the game and have enough varsity players available. So we still play those games as long as we have enough numbers available to play the game. And then at the end of the game, as far as the seed meetings, obviously volleyball is different in the sense that every team is in the playoffs, football is not. So, and the seeding is not electronic, so you can explain the situation as a coach in those situations when they come up. Any questions on that?
So for football, for example, I'm assuming you have to have
It was before you used to have at least a 500 record to make a playoff, so is that still the case or not?
That's still the case now. That it's been, depending on where things shake out, teams that were below, like a game below 500, were still able to get in or still got in. However, you do have to be, that's the kind of the baseline to look at, 500 or more. But we wouldn't count that if someone would an extra game, if they get a win from a forfeit and then to play an extra game and win that, you wouldn't count that either way, win or loss. So, all right, any other questions on that? Football team, back to that. Obviously, they're having a good year so far. Unfortunately, the last two teams we played, it was a little wetter. We were able to get the whole game of basketball in. JV, the boys played very well. JV was able to get a lot of snaps, which was very nice to see. We're having a hard time getting JV games in. We're supposed to have one on Tuesday, and basketball wasn't able to do that. DeSoto went to 8-man with their JV teams, because that's where they're going, so we're not going to play DeSoto. Depending on these other teams shake out at the end of the year, Wazeeka is our last game of the year, so that's a lot of times we cancel that JV game because we have to play us right away next week. So we have feelers out there for some other schools that might have some extra, if they're big enough school, we maybe bring over a freshman team that we could play, or if they got a cancellation in their JV program, to try to get these kids, we got a lot of numbers, or I shouldn't say a lot, but enough numbers where we can have JV games. So unfortunately, a couple of them have been canceled now, but we can pick those up later in the year. Week before that, as you may know, we went to Independence, and unfortunately that game got called because of lightning, so they weren't able to get a full game in. That would have been another one where our JV could have got some more minutes, but unfortunately that didn't work out. But the team's doing well. We got a huge game this weekend home here versus Ithaca. They're a very good team, so it'll be a good test for the boys. Volleyball team, we just had the Jamboree here last Saturday. Week before Saturday, girls did well. They got second to Potosi, a conference team. Went to River Ridge, and we didn't look real good there, but overall they're hanging right in there, and play Belmont tomorrow night. There will be no no freshman game that was originally scheduled. I'll explain that in a little bit, but so we will not have a freshman game tomorrow night, but we'll still, at this point, still have a JV and a varsity game tomorrow night. Middle school just started, had the first game down in Prairie last night, so they're rolling right along. There's a lot of new kids in the 7th and 8th grade this year that have never played volleyball that came out this year, so that was nice to see. We had good numbers in both teams, so that's good. COVID update. Just to give you the numbers of where we're at in the district right now, and I will send this out. Right now, my plan is to send it out whenever there's a change. So I'll send it out on Infinite Campus to all the families so they know where we're at. But if you remember, I did that last year. Like, for example, this is where we're at in elementary, this is where we're at in the middle school, this is the high school, and then the staff. I'll do that again. Masking. So obviously masks right now, just to show you where we're at with masks, we have 1 4K student, 2 5K, and then 2 in 1st grade, 3 in 3rd grade, 2 kids in 4th grade, and 1 in 5th that wear a mask. In our middle school, we have around 5 kids, depending on the day. Sometimes one day they wear, one day they don't. But high school, we have 2, and then we have 1 staff member that wears their mask. Cooks wear their masks when they're serving lunches. So that's where we're at with the kids that are wearing masks. I know that was brought up previously of how many kids would be wearing them, if where it's at. So that's where it's at right now. Right now, we currently have 1 staff member that is a substitute for us that is a positive test, and we have 1 student in our elementary that's a positive test. So we have 2 students in our district that are a positive test and are obviously quarantined right now. Other students that are direct contacts that are quarantined, we have our 4th grade class, so that's 21 students. There's 4 that are not. Middle school, we have 1 student that's quarantined, and we have 4 students in our high school that are quarantined. 4th grade can come back on Friday following our protocols. If they get the test that's negative, they can come back as early as this Friday. They were out just beginning of this week. And then the high school students, they can be back actually today already if their negative test comes back. A negative test comes back. I did talk to 2 doctors. I was asked to do that by a community member, so I did that. I sat down with one here with Mr. Bird and Sharon. We met here in my office. I I appreciate that. And then I did get a call from another doctor that I know very well. And they both said the same thing. The COVID, as far as positive cases, they don't think we're going to, who knows how many we get, but that's not going to be the biggest, I shouldn't say not the biggest issue, but the most difficult issue for us is the quarantine. It's difficult. You have different timelines every time you do it. It's a lot of busy extra time for Barb, for Sharon, obviously making the phone calls, keeping people updated, writing down, okay, this is when they're first exposed, this is the direct contact, this is when they come back, if they do this option, this option, this option, or this option, through Iowa County and the protocols that we're following. So it is a lot more time consuming and a lot more difficult for our staff as far as the ones I just mentioned. However, obviously that's not a reason to do one thing or another. I'm just letting you know that's where it's at. But that's where we're at so far. So the quarantining is going to be a battle all year long. So, but as far as our numbers, in my opinion, we're sitting really good. We only have one student, one staff member that substitutes for us. So hopefully that stays low and we can keep moving forward. But any questions on that? As far as the masking or the quarantines or staff or?
Fourth grade class will be back in full session as long as the students have a negative test.
Correct.
They can return to school.
If they don't,
Then they're
obviously
out.
if a positive test, then that's a whole different thing. But
Right, they're out for further.
if they don't get a test, they can wait another so many days, as far as the protocol, 7 to 10, and then, or they
And
go
if they
14
don't
days.
test at all, they're out for the full 14.
14. Now, if they
And
come
what
back
are we
early.
doing with them? Are they just home doing nothing or?
No, they start tomorrow. We got a plan worked out where they'll be, before they left, we trained them, we got, Ms. Doyle got them ready to go, so they'll
Okay, so
start.
you are doing virtual for the whole.
Hey,
What
yeah,
about for like the 1 or 2
they're here.
high school?
High school, they come in, they can listen to the classes.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not recorded, but they come in, we'll have the Google Meet, they come in, they can listen to it,
Okay,
so they can hear what's going on.
okay, so they
Yeah.
agree in middle school too, they can sit in,
Yep, same thing.
listen to their class.
And then there's one that other students that don't, for example, the second grade student, he's meeting one-on-one with the teacher at the time that they set up, so.
Okay, because it's not reasonable for him to sit and listen to his class all day.
Yeah, that's just the easiest for the student.
Okay. Would that be for most elementary, how you handle it?
Yeah, it might be different depending on how, it might be a little different, but probably won't be a lot, depending on how many. If it's whole class, obviously we'll do, like kind of we did last year when everyone's out.
Right.
Pretty much exactly like we did last year when everyone's out. But if there's just a couple, then that teacher will meet with the parents, set it up, talk to them, and say, hey, what's the best way for both of us, so this kid gets the information that they need, keep moving forward until they come back, so.
Is the expectation that middle school and high school kids listen to their classes all day?
Yes. And then they can email if they have questions, and they can get back to them, and, they might not get that email back to me until the end of the day, however, just get those sent to those teachers, and then they'll be in touch.
Kind of crazy that we have to do all of the quarantine if none of these kids are symptomatic, right? Like, that's just an Iowa County thing, or like, there's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, I agree, it's frustrating.
I'm sure, you got perfectly healthy kids that, okay, you're close contact, but
The problem is you just don't know either. If they do develop it, they're.
right, but then at the
They-
same time, you're flooding the ER at Dodgeville for asymptomatic kids to get a negative test.
Well, they shouldn't be going to the
Well, or whatever, to get their,
Which is we had the 4 high school students that can come back with a negative test. Right, a couple of them got in right away, a couple of them called, couldn't get in, so unfortunately, that's not, over the summer, before school started, Iowa County, I'm not blaming anyone, but their goal was to have ready tests that I shared with you, if you remember, right here in our clinic. Kids can go down, they come back the same day, they might only be gone an hour, but they're filling up, they're using them, so it's not working as well as we'd like, I'll say. It's nobody's fault, it's just what it is right now. Like right now, if you called Upland Hills, you'd have to call before 7, and sometimes you can get in that day, sometimes you can't. Lancaster right now has a drive-through, so some kids were able to get through there and get through. However, they don't have results back yet. So if they get them tonight, they can come back tomorrow. If it's negative, obviously. And then again, if you are able to come back early before the 14 days, you wear masks until 14 days are up. So the JV girls at Belmont tomorrow night will have masks on. So. Anything else on the COVID update? All right, so bus safety, we're doing that tomorrow. As you know, every year we want to do a bus safety, so we'll take all the elementary kids, 4K through 5, and we'll go outside and just talk about bus safety. We had a couple of things already that I had to have some conversation with kids on about, obviously, bus behavior, so we'll get that rolling. So I think, let me check real quick. That is it for me, unless you have questions.
I guess I have one other question. So like, you know how some kids can actually test positive and have no symptoms at all? Or have it and actually have no symptoms at all? Is that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm so puzzled right now. It's like if you have symptoms is when you shouldn't be here, but I get it, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to obviously be symptomatic. You don't know.
And we're abiding by that rule because that is Iowa County's rule, correct?
What rule is that?
Well, you have to be in quarantine if you've been in close contact or positive, right? The only reason these 4K students are in quarantine is because of a close contact.
Fourth grade
student.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
4th grade, okay.
Yeah, that's the Iowa County, I mean, I think there was a school that was saying they weren't going to do that, and it didn't go over too well. I think it's almost, as far as we know, it's a mandate. That's the process right now, so.
Okay.
And it's not just Iowa County, I think every county in the state is following the same thing.
Something, yeah. Unfortunately, though, the counties are different as far as days. If you have a district, like right next to us, that's got 2 different, we have 2 different counties, but the vast majority of our kids are in Iowa County. Some districts are not like that. Like a town like, for example, has got 4 different counties in their district technically that they touch. So you go by the county, so that'd be tougher. I feel bad for those schools trying to work through that.
Did you have anything from Bryce, or that was kind of all wrapped up in there?
No, I think the biggest thing that Mr. Bird wanted me to mention, obviously, just make sure you guys, and that's coming up later as far as the social media, make sure we get that answered for it.
On the new business then, the 2021, 2022 fundraisers. We have that list and it won't change this year, Josh, right?
It won't change tonight.
So here's my question. We say this every year, or at least I've brought it up the last couple of years. Where's the boys baseball team at? For the fundraising. They do something every year, but it's not on this list.
I don't think they did the last couple of years, but.
The Brewers thing.
Yeah. I know they probably didn't do it last year because of that, but I know previous years it's done. Something has been done.
Yeah, that might be, that might be my fault. Obviously he doesn't work here, so. I don't know if he gets the email out or if he got contacted, I'll make sure you got that in, but I'll definitely check on that.
Are we supposed to have a hyperlink on the new business to like click on the fundraiser list or something?
Yeah.
I do not have that.
You have to did you go through the board members login?
Yes.
Do you have the hyperlink for the other thing?
No, absolutely
Like
nothing.
the regular minutes? Yeah, I bet you went through.
I bet you went
The website's a little different.
And right here. Isn't this one supposed to go? And I clicked here, double
No,
click.
that's not the same.
It's not the same
No.
one?
Here I'm the one that basically the public can get into. Have to go up here to the menu.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then the district, you gotta click on that little right arrow, and then Board of Education, that right arrow.
Probably a can't go there. You gotta click on that little arrow and then get to the board members login, so that's not the right spot.
Okay,
So right, and then board members login.
got it.
That one.
Okay, that'll help me, thank you.
Here's one that, I don't know if you want to call it a minor or a major, but I want to bring up to you that Carrie Smith was asking about. So as you know, if you remember, we brought in Galaxy, I believe, Galaxy Rose Skating, Business Center, and then they teach the kids in elementary. So, yeah, so she's wondering about doing a fundraiser through the elementary. The paper had to come in like every other year or something like that. So that's not on here. I wanted to make sure that she mentioned that to me, but didn't know if that'd be a minor or a major, so she didn't know if she put it on here or not, but I'll just bring it up to you now if you have any questions on that.
Josh, the pasta supper is no longer a band fundraiser. Do you know when they're planning on doing that? Because that was always associated with the spring.
Right, I think they will do it at the same time. So basically what we did is moved Melissa off of that as far as the pasta one, kept her on the butter braids, and then the juniors would like to do that one, so she can focus more on getting the kids ready for the concert. And then, but it's a good night, a lot of people come that night, so, yeah, so the juniors are kind of, sophomores, you just run it, and they'll go into their account. Of course, I don't have a sophomore advisor yet, but anyway, so we still have to do it that night, because I think it's a good one. But it just saves her the time, and then somebody else can run it then and do it the same night.
Right.
Good question.
I'll make a motion to approve the.
No second. Motion by Benish and a second by Esther to approve the 21-22 fundraisers. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item then is the social media service, and that was $8,000 for 1 year is what you guys are recommending at this time to try it out and see how it goes.
Or was it? It was 3 years for 7,000, but that's per year, correct?
It's just $3,000.
Right.
Out of our budget.
That we got for it.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Please.
Yeah, so I would say, I'm just putting on the 1 year for 8,000. She does allow you to do a 3-year contract for 7,000. Then if you drop the contract, you would pay, an extra 1,000. That's in the contract. But I just thought we would do the 1 year for 8,000 and reevaluate it a year from now.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Esther and a second by Schimick to approve the social media service contract. Is there any discussion?
Just for discussion, just 1 year right here.
1 year, yep. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Personnel items, custodian on here, Josh?
Yeah. So we've been seeing to have these on here a lot, but Rachel Wolf is I'd like to recommend for our second night custodian, part-time.
So did we have 2 night custodian part-times and
We
we
did.
only have 1 left?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost one.
You just declined or?
He just didn't work out.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve this, Rachel.
I'll second Rachel.
A motion by Benish and a second by Schimick to approve the custodian position. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. JV assistant volleyball coach contracts, Josh?
Yeah, I'd like to ask if I could revise those contracts, please. As you know, right now, we have Karen McManus as our JV assistant, and then Morgan Sharp as a volunteer. However, the duties are more 50-50, so I'd like to revise the contracts and make Morgan and carry 50-50, so there'd be no extra money at all. It's just they take the JV compensation, they split it between them evenly, so I'd like to just revise those contracts if you guys approve.
A motion by Esther and a second by Drury to approve the revised JV volleyball coach contracts. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Grade 9 advisor.
Yeah, I'd like to recommend Jackie Johnson as the 9th grade advisor, please.
Make a motion for Jackie Johnson.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Benish and a second by Yeager to approve Jackie Johnson for the grade 9 advisor. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Open enrollment applications, Josh?
Yeah, Barbie, help me out.
4 new applications of the district. Students are not currently attending our district.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
A motion by Benish and a second by Drury to approve the open enrollment, alternate open enrollment applications. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Dates for the next board meeting, as far as committee meetings go, there's still a transportation committee set for September 15th.
Right, there is at 6 o'clock. And then we also need to schedule a finance meeting. And Linda and I were looking at September the 29th because of we have to post the annual meeting in the budget in advance. So if Wednesday the 29th would work, that'd be 2 weeks before the October board meeting. But with the deadlines for posting the agenda and the budget, proposed budget, we can discuss that with the committee, if that works for everybody.
Todd, how does that sound to you?
What was the date?
September 29th, it's a Wednesday.
Oh, that should work. Am I in transportation?
You are.
I wouldn't be able to attend next week in person yet, so either the alternate would need to jump in or I'd have to dial in like tonight.
I'm the alternate. I can go, or I can be here.
Any 29th? Works great. Okay. So we'll set finance for Wednesday, September 29th, and then the next regular board would be Wednesday, October 13th.
What times is your finance?
6 o'clock.
On the 29th?
Yep.
Got it.
Regular board's October 13th, and then last time we set the annual meeting, and I believe that's the 27th, 2 weeks later.
6 PM again as well, right?
All right, so we got 4 on the schedule
Yes.
there. You have things for signature, otherwise that should be it.
What's the date on the annual again, please, sir?
October 27th.
27th. Thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Drury and a second by Esther to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks.